And welcome everyone to Wednesday, August 12th, this committee of the whole meeting, and we'll call this meeting to order. All members of council are present. We welcome those that are participating from home. And we also acknowledge there's no one in the gallery there at this point, but anyone that does come in is certainly welcome to be here. And thanks to our staff that are here this afternoon to provide us facts information and to assist us in making decisions here and recommendations back to ourselves as a council. So this meeting is called to order. Item 2, please.
That South Huron Committee of the Whole approves the agenda as presented.
And a mover, please. Moved by Councillor Oak, second by Councillor Neeb. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? That carries with 7. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures at this time? And not seeing any, move on to discussion, and I'll turn it over to our staff.
So through the chair, so the first item on the agenda, 4.1, is committees of council. So council received a staff report at their August 11th, 2025 regular council meeting in regards to committee appointments. And at that time, they did ask to have a more fulsome discussion at a later date. So attached to this agenda is a copy of that report, as well as a memo summarizing the number of times the committees of council have met this term of council, and just some general information.
Any questions from members of council in regards to that? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you.
So I guess it's just open to the floor for general council discussion.
Council, any discussion under 4.2 now? Councillor Blunt.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, we're all looking at this and I'm wondering what it is we're actually trying to achieve here at this meeting in terms of, are we talking about them from a perspective of whether we need them going forward? Are we about to do this one by one? Yeah, I'm not sure which way we're going here.
Through the mayor, in the past, every term of council, council has reviewed the committees of council. If we go back to 4.1, and then there was usually a committee of the whole to discuss councils, whether they are the committees, whether they're still valid. And that was basically the initial correspondence or the initial report that came to the council. And then the resolution came here to bring it back to the committee of the whole for further discussion at a later date. So yes, if council for item 4.1, the intent of the report, the initial report in the past, has been for council to review each committee one by one and make any comments and recommendations as to whether the committees should stay or not.
Councillor Neeb, go ahead, please.
In the report that's provided to council, there's a reference back, there's a link back to the initial report from August 11th, 2025, and there's a list of 3 committees that have not met during this term of council, and I think I would even hazard to guess there's a few of them that we haven't met even prior to that. And those 3 committees are the South Huron Age Friendly Committee, the South Huron Landfill Liaison Committee, and then the Property Standards Committee.
Councillor Oak.
Thank you, Mayor. And now I guess the Property Standards Committee is a little bit different than some of them. That is sort of a committee that at the time council decided that everybody from council would sit on if there was a property standards issue. And I only remember maybe one in that I've been involved with in the time, but it was council that sat around, and I don't know if that needs to be a committee or what the thoughts are on that, or we just address something like that as a one-off sort of thing.
And through the mayor, you are correct. That is a quasi-judicial committee that's established under the property standards bylaw as well. And some of the committees on here, perhaps we can go through, we'll name them one by one. We'll start at the beginning. like the Committee of Adjustment is a planning committee. So in that particular case, there are committees that have different needs and uses. So we can provide a kind of maybe the clerk could go through it, or would you prefer that I do one by one and just give kind of a overview?
Through the chair, so I can provide just a brief general overview, and then if the CEO has anything to add. But in the memo that's attached to this is the updated memo here that provides the number of meetings present and the different committees of council. So there are currently 12 internal committees of council. Copies of the terms of reference available are also attached to this. There's a CAO Performance Review Committee that is made up of, I believe it's 3 members of council. They do meet annually with the CAO regarding the CAO's performance. There's the Committee of Adjustment. Oh, sorry.
Through the chair, maybe just wait there and see if there's any,
Yeah.
and then we'll just go one by one. And if there's any comments from the committee, and if not, we can move on.
Any
That works.
comments? Any comments at all in regards to that? No, I don't think so. Okay, Councillor Vaughn?
Yeah, I'll just comment on the CAO Performance Review Committee since I'm a member of that. You'll see there's only 4 meetings for this whole term, so it's once a year. We meet with the CAO. CAO prepares a report. We give all of the council members an opportunity to speak up, provide input into the performance. In terms of whether we need a review committee going forward, I think it's valuable from the perspective of it gives us some structure to actually make sure we do a performance review every year and provide a vehicle for all of council to provide input. So I would venture to say that we should probably keep this one.
Good. Is anyone opposed to that? If they're not, we can move on to the next item. Okay, we'll keep that committee going then. Committee of Adjustment, comments in regards to that? Madam Clerk?
So through the chair, so Committee of Adjustment, so this is a quasi-judicial committee set out under the Planning Act. So this committee is made up of 3 members of council appointed annually, and they meet when a minor variance planning application is received. So it is a required committee of council at this point in time under the Planning Act. And for those meetings, the clerk as well as the county planner do attend at a staff level, as the clerk is the secretary treasurer, and then the planner is there to provide their recommendations on the minor variance.
Councillor Oak?
Yeah, thank you. And the number of meetings at 15, I would say that that number is really dwindling with some of the changes that we've made over the years with some of the improvements that have been made that doesn't need to come to a committee of adjustment has reduced the number of meetings. So.
And through the chair, that is right, for sure. There have been a lot of adjustments to the zoning bylaw, as well as legislation through the Planning Act from the province have decreased that number.
Okay, so we'll keep that Committee of Adjustment then. Court of Revision, any comments? And Madam Clerk, comments on that? Or
So through the chair, a Court of Revision is also a quasi-judicial committee of council and is required under the Drainage Act. So it is a required committee. This Court of Revision, they only meet when there's a request for major drainage repair and there's an engineer's report that has assessed out different property owners. So they hear appeals on assessments for those types of reports, if any are filed. And under the Act, if it's sorry, if it is a drainage repair or project that spans multiple municipalities, then the administering municipality where the work is being done would have 2 council members from their council to sit on that. And then there would be 1 council member from any other municipality involved would be appointed.
very good. So it stays. Dasher Community Center Advisory Committee is the next one. Comments? Councillor Vaughn?
Yeah, again, being a member of this particular committee, I think it's a worthwhile committee in that we do look to the members on this committee from both the Blue Water side and the South Huron side of Dashwood to help us with the admin and running of that center from a public perspectives view. And also been invaluable in terms of things that we've done this year with Blue Water for like the swing set. Also, too, gives us opportunities to talk about the festivals that go on in Dashwood as well. So I think it should remain. We don't meet a lot, but we generally have good things to talk about.
Deputy, your comments.
Thank you. And I agree with Councillor Vaughn. With Blue Water being our next door neighbor and them part of this, I think we need to keep this committee.
Okay, very well. Any other comments? Councillor Vaughn.
Yeah, the only other comment I'd make is as I was looking at this again tonight or today, I was thinking we do that because partially because we also have a Blue Water component. One thing that perhaps the next council might want to think about is should we be considering something similar for the Kirkton Community Center where we also share responsibility with Perth South.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, Councillor Oak?
And agreed. And I was just going to suggest at the end of this list, there is a couple other quasi committees, the Kirkton Hall and Pool, two committees that are, I'm not sure how you would label them. They're joint with Perth South and some community members, right? So we're not the administering bodies, of course, but we still sit on them.
Through the mayor, at this point, there isn't any council member that is appointed to them. And that is because it's been a gap. I know that the administering municipality has been looking at formalizing, but at this point, we haven't received anything. So,
Okay,
but it is being considered.
Yep.
very well. No further discussion on that. It stays, and we move on to Dashwood Community Development Fund Committee. Comments, Councillor Vaughn.
Again, another one of the committees that I sit on. Again, not a lot of activity. We meet when there's actually a need to spend some of that money that's sitting in the reserve from when they sold the hydro out in Dashwood. And so again, some value with that. We did some decorations for Christmas. And we still haven't finished that job, so we still have a reason to continue to meet. And yeah, so they're short but sweet meetings. I think they should continue on as long as we actually have some money sitting in that fund.
Councillor Oak.
Sorry, I had my mic on. Just a question, the Christmas lights at did that use up that fund, or is that still the remaining after the lights? The 58,000 is still what's left after the Christmas lights?
So through the chair, that is funds that have not been allocated to anything yet. So that's currently approximately what's remaining in the fund.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, not seeing any. Move on to Fire Service Advisory Committee. Comments? No?
Through the chair, I can mention at this point, the original terms of reference, the mandate had been met. And then it came back to council, and council decided that still at that point, still have the committee. And the deputy mayor was a council liaison for all the agreements that we have with other municipalities. So that's where it sits right now.
Okay, thoughts on that committee? Deputy?
Thank you. And I don't think it matters who sits on there, but I think we still should have that committee just because of the services that we have with Blue Water and Lambton Shores and the rest. So I would like to see that stay.
Okay, Councillor Neat?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I agree with that. I think considering we still have items to meet in that fire master plan as well. I know we knew the priority was getting Dashwood kind of looked after in terms of the fire hall, but there still needs to be some improvements to the Exeter Fire Hall, and to continue, I think, having that committee to lobby to the province as well, is just because there's been a number of changes over the last 4 years too. So I think having it could be an asset.
Very well. Any other comments, Councillor Oak?
I agree. Yeah, I sit on the committee at the present, and we're expanding our agreements with the latter agreements now with Luke and Bidolph and different. So I think there's a lot of things that are to be reviewed in the next little while. So it's probably a good spot for a sounding board.
Okay, any other comments? Not seeing any. Property Standards Committee comments? Councillor Need?
And I did not actually know this committee was still on the books. Is this a committee that would meet in camera and open session, or, sorry to jump the gun, Alec?
Through the chair. So my understanding, I haven't partaken in one because it has not met in quite a while. But I believe it's an open committee meeting.
And through the chair, I would add to that, it is an open meeting. However, there generally is a closed portion of it, especially if it's dealing with identifiable individuals. It depends on the matter, because it could have a closed part of it. Yeah.
So do we actually need this committee then, or what's your thoughts?
Through the mayor, yes, it is, or through the chair, sorry, it is tied to the bylaw.
Okay, very well. Any other comments then? Not seeing any. Rodeo Committee. Go ahead.
Just on the Property Standards Committee, I guess at the time, council had decided that all of council would sit on it. I guess one of the considerations is whether all council needs to be on the committee or whether you assign it to 2 or 3 members, you know, so that would be the only consideration moving forward if you don't want all of council on it, because some municipalities have and they don't have all of their council sit on it. At the time, we decided to have the whole council sit on it. So that would just be a suggestion to, if anybody wanted to review it.
Councillor Need?
Just as a question of clarity, at what point would it escalate to a point where it would come to council and we would have to have a discussion about?
So through the chair, so for bylaw enforcement, we are complaint based. So when the municipality receives a complaint on a matter, property standards bylaw, the bylaw enforcement officer does go out to inspect. We are trying to get voluntary compliance, and it's all based on the bylaw enforcement framework that council reviews every term. So the bylaw officer will try to work with the property owner to give them some time to try to comply with the bylaw. At a certain point, there's communication, written communication sent as well with deadlines. If there's no attempt to make compliance, then an order to remedy is issued. That order to remedy provides a deadline to comply as well as a deadline to file an appeal to the Property Standards Committee. So we have, within this past term of council, there has not been very many orders issued. However, we haven't received any actual appeals from the property owner. So the owner could appeal if they're not agreeable with what the order says or the deadlines. It is within their purview to do so. So it's only if we actually receive an appeal from the owner, and at that point it would be brought to the committee for them to review and either determine whether the order stands, possibly whether you just need an extension of the deadline or something else.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no other questions on that. Rodeo Committee. Deputy, you have any comments?
I think we need the committee. Just proved that last weekend. Thank you.
I was waiting for you to say that. South Huron Age Friendly, any comments on that? Councillor Wendy and McLeod Haggett, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Just a quick question. I know there was a while ago, the West Coast Active Living was requesting that Stacy, which we're in the process of rehiring for that position, be part attend some of those meetings with respect to the technology and stuff that they were bringing into the different community centers. I'm just wondering where that has landed and is maybe a staff member, someone that would be part of this one to kind of branch out into those types of meetings to make sure, as we are an aging population in our municipality, that we're not having a separate, excuse me, committee for this, but we're making sure that they're being looked after where they need to be, if that makes sense.
To the chair, actually, I attended the meetings for the WCAL, for the technology, and yes, they have worked it out, and they do have the technology in our facilities. And yes, community relations, it does work with WCAL.
Councillor Oak?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think this committee initially was formed, or the terms of reference was part of the age-friendly master plan that we did a few years ago. And then we posted for community members to sit on it, and that's as far as it went. I don't think there was anybody that did apply at the time. And but it was all part of, we had got a grant to put together an age-friendly plan. And so that's where this committee started, I believe. So yeah, I don't know if it's worth seeing if we could reach out to the community again and for members, or where we should go.
Through the chair, I do agree though that then are we competing with an existing committee that is already in play and has got quite a lot of traction and is doing good things. If at this point we as staff we could have connections with them and assist as possible, as well as council, then I'll leave, like, it's up to council. However, there is already an existing local committee.
Good idea. I guess, have we ever shared the age-friendly plan with that committee, just so that they know what the municipality had put together, or the consultant had put together for that? Just wondering.
To the chair, yes, they did request all that information. They have, yeah.
Anything further, Deputy?
Thank you. Is this a duplication of what is already being done then? That's what it sounds like to me.
To the chair, I mean, I can reach out if that's, I don't know exactly if it's a duplication totally exactly, but it is similar mandates is what I would say.
Well, to me, it's zero, the number of meetings, so it tells me that maybe this isn't really needed.
Okay, thank you. Would you be interested in putting forward a motion at some point to that, or Councillor McLeod-Haggett, go ahead, please.
So I think I would be okay bringing a motion to pull it if it was kind of the understanding that when that other organization comes forward and is needing assistance with what we are or have the capacity to help them with, that we kind of have an understanding that we're going to help them where we can.
Through the chair, that is currently what we're doing with them, and we're already working with them and other organizations through the community relations piece. Certainly if we're from a staff level, and if we can't approve it at a staff level, then those requests do come to council.
Okay, so we'll hold off until the end of this discussion as far as what we're gonna move or keep there. Any other comments on South Huron Age Friendly? Okay, South Huron Heritage Advisory Committee. Any comments? Okay, move on to South Huron Landfill Liaison Committee. Deputy.
Thank you. I've sat on that committee for a number of years and we've never met yet. So as far as I'm concerned, I think we need to cut the committee out. Thank you.
Councillor Oak.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I'm just wondering is, we're looking at a landfill expansion sometime here, and whether there would be any implications with that expansion with the committee's input. I don't know. I'm just asking.
Deputy.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think that input would be coming from probably from Blue Water themselves, is my thoughts on this, but I mean, that's up to the rest of the council, but my thoughts would be to remove it. Thank you.
Councillor Neat?
As part of the landfill expansion process, there probably would be a public meeting and so there would be a way to gather public input through that process anyway, I would think.
Okay, so we'll hold that as well. South Huron Volunteer Appreciation Event Committee. Councillor McLeod Haggett?
So that one kind of, again, we've only met twice for that committee. And we kind of mirror what West Coast Active Living is doing for their volunteer appreciation event. So that one I think we could probably consider taking off.
Okay, so we'll keep track of that then. Next item would be the Wind Turbine Special Purpose Committee. Deputy?
I think that's probably something that should be staying for now till we see what new council decides to do. But I think it's a good committee. And I'll ask the other members their thoughts.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, not seeing any. There's 3 external committees. Oh, Marissa, Councillor Vaughn, you had something?
Yeah, not a big comment, but yes, I think it's a worthwhile committee as well. Could be handled in different ways, could be in a small committee like it is now, or all of council at budget time, but I think it works efficiently the way it is now. So I'm for keeping it there.
Okay, very well. And then we go with the external committees, South Huron Medical Recruitment and Retention Committee. I'm on that. We meet once a year basically and tour the students around. That's the last thing we did. There's still a need for that. So it shows good promotion for our municipality. The Huron County Community Safety and Wellbeing Oversight Committee, 1 staff member. Any comments on that? Mr. Paulson, you had something? Deputy, you had something? Go ahead.
Yes, excuse me. I sat on that committee also with the staff member and also as the member of the OPP board. So I think that is a worthwhile committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the Huron Health Systems Recruitment, sorry, go ahead.
Just wondering going forward now, the administration of that committee is being handled by Blue Water now, I believe. So there won't be maybe a staff member attending, or how is that going to work from South Huron?
This is community safety and well-being plans are mandated. So each municipality does have to have representation. Yes. So there will be a staff member. The administration has been moving through different municipalities. I know South Huron has taken a big role in the past, as well as Town of Godrich, but that is moving to other municipalities at this time.
Very well. The Huron Health Systems Recruitment and Retention Committee, Councillor Oak.
We haven't had a meeting in a couple of months, but they're expecting one here shortly. They were suggesting that we're going to quarterly meetings. So.
Okay, very well. 6 local boards, the members of council are appointed to, BIA, which Councillor McLeod Haggett.
One thing on that one I noticed, so the terms of reference says that it has to be a representative from Ward 2 that is on that board. Does it have to be someone from Ward 2 or can we just change it that it's someone from council?
Madam Clerk.
So through the chair, the BIA board has its own procedural bylaw. So it is a procedural bylaw amendment that would have to be done, and I would have to look in to see because BIAs are mandated like part of the municipal act. So it may be a requirement that if there's a ward system, it's a possibility it would need to be a representative from that area, but I can look into that further.
Okay, thank you. ABCA, Councillor Vaughn, do you want to comment within the changes?
I would say for now, while we're in this transition, just status quo. It's going to work itself out over the next year, I would say.
I concur. Any other comments on ABCA? Okay, not seeing BRA, I represent us on that. It's mandated that we have a person from South Huron there. Grand Bend Area Joint Sewage Plant Board, comments from anyone? That's mandatory. Joint Operating Board, Lake Huron Primary Water Board. I think Councillor Dietrich, you're on that. Any comments? We have to be there. And Huron OPB Detachment Board. Deputy?
Yeah, there has to be, sorry, there has to be a member from South Huron.
Thank you. So I'll turn to the Madam Clerk for the items that may be removed.
So through the chair, based on the just discussion here, there was possible discussion about recommending to council to dissolve the age-friendly and landfill liaison committees.
Okay, is there a mover for that? Deputy Mayor moves, seconded by Councillor McLeod Haggett. Any discussion? Call the question. So we got a question, Councillor Vaughn?
I do. I also thought, I heard that there might not be a need for the South Huron Volunteer Appreciation Committee.
Sorry,
So-
I missed that one. I'll add that. So the recommendation, the committee of the whole recommends to South Huron Council to dissolve the age-friendly committee, landfill liaison committee, and the volunteer appreciation committee.
Deputy, you concur with that?
Yes,
Councillor McLeod Haggett?
Yes.
Very well. So we have that. Any other questions on this motion? Recommendation, call the question, all in favor? Carries with 6, sorry. Carries with 6. Thank you.
Okay, through the chair, this next item is a procedural bylaw review. This is as well, this is done generally, at least the review during the term of council. So these suggested amendments are being brought forward. If there's any questions on the amendments, then we can, the clerk would be happy to speak to them. There was a request to get a little bit more information on point of order as well as question of privilege and use of Robert rules. So these were also included on the memo.
Council, any questions, comments? Councillor Oak?
Thank you, Mayor. One of the documents talked about the agenda, outline of the agenda, and I just trying to find it. I was wondering when we have a closed session, wondered if we could move it to the end and put the bylaws ahead of it, because there's a lot of time where there's maybe a resident that's waiting for their property the bylaw for their property, and then we escort them out, and then then we go to closed session, and then we bring the bylaw after, and some of them aren't here when that happens. I just wondered if the close and the report from close could go after the bylaws and be the sort of the last thing on the agenda. Just the thought. I don't know if that would work or not, but I see a few times where somebody's waited all night and then we have a closed session that night, and they have to leave the room. Now they can wait and come back in when we open up again, but then it's a headache to get the system running again and everything, the video and everything. So anyways, just a thought.
So through the chair, so there's different options that could be available. Council does already have the ability to amend the agenda at the meeting to move up some items. It could also be that within the actual agenda order, the procedural bylaw, if that is something council would like to kind of move around. You could bump the closed session down after the bylaws, but I would still recommend that the confirming bylaw be at the very end. So you do all your other bylaws, then your closed session, and then the confirming bylaw, because that confirms all matters within that meeting.
Comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would still leave the confirming bylaw at after the closed session. That it was just to replace the order there for the bylaws and move them up, sort of thing. So, but I agree on that part.
Any other questions, comments at this time? Council?
On the agenda as well, I'm not against the idea of the consent agenda, where we list a bunch of things under a consent, similar to what the county does today. And you can still pull something if you want out of the consent. So I don't know if we need a motion to suggest that or just would be a recommendation that I like the idea of the consent agenda. It helps speed things up a little bit for sure.
So through the chair, council did receive the report already at their regular council meeting. But in regards to any approving of the proposed revisions, we're kind of pushed to this meeting. So that was included in the red line revision. So the red line revision includes all the proposed changes. If there's anything that council isn't interested per se within those changes, you could do, if this was something that the committee wanted to recommend to council, you could recommend approval of the red lines, save and accept, and then the items that you would like to see different, that would be broken out, and then the final cleaned up version after it goes to council and council votes on it would then come back with any proposed changes.
Okay, comments, Councillor Vaughn?
Yeah, on this amending of the or addition of putting in a consent agenda, the thought that's going through my mind is what are we trying to really achieve with this consent kind of grouping? I know it's done in other situations, like here on Primary Water Supply Board did it, county does it. But and it may be more efficient, although I wonder about the correspondence piece because we generally always pull something on the correspondence. So I don't see that getting any more efficient. But I'm just wondering if doing this, even though many of the reports are for information, especially with a new council coming on board, does that create, are we creating an impression that these are information reports are of lesser importance and perhaps stifling questions for people who don't understand the routineness of information reports? So I'm not totally on side with consent agenda.
Councillor Oak?
Yeah, I guess maybe we could explain how it works with the consent agenda. You only read one recommendation with all those reports as opposed to reading a recommendation for each one. I think that's the idea. They're in there, but the same with communication. It's all just one. It's like the first part of our agenda today when there's a whole bunch of reports from the BIA and ABCA, and we have one recommendation, and you can pull a report from, but it's the clerk or the CEO only has to read one recommendation, not 35 sort of thing. So I think that's where the speeding up of it is. But I haven't been involved with how it works somewhere else. So.
Yeah, and through the chair, you're correct. And the reports would still be the same. They would each have recommendations on them. And any one of anything in a consent agenda can be pulled and discussed.
Just like our last meeting under section 8, we had 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and just one recommendation, but we could pull any one of them. So it's very similar. We deal with that at the county. Go ahead, Deputy.
Thank you. And yes, I was going to say that we do that at county council. And if there's anything that someone wants to talk to, we just pull it and have the discussion. So I kind of like the idea. Not just because it speeds the meeting up, but I think if you read your agenda before you got here, you should understand what's going on. And if questions, just pull it.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Okay, not seeing any. Councillor Oak, you had something?
The other thing I just wanted to maybe talk about is the if we want to go past curfew. Today it's unanimous. I'm wondering if that could be changed to majority instead of unanimous in the procedural bylaw. Just that It's just a recommendation.
And before I go to Councillor Vaughn, I see your point on that, but I would caution that if we do that, a member of council could just say, I have to go, and they leave anyways. Councillor Vaughn?
Uh, yes, so I do know we've had conversations about this before. And so I would say that, again, reviewing all this, I saw inconsistency here in 4.3E, two eyes, two little eyes. It says that it's only the extension past the 1 hour extension that must be unanimous. So we've got two different places where we refer to this in the procedural bylaw. In the appendix 2, which is meant to be a short condensed version, it makes it sound like it has to be unanimous. So to extend it even an hour. But if you actually look at the verbiage in 4.3E2, it says it's only the extension past the 1 hour. So it kind of sounds like we can have a motion, a resolution for the first hour after curfew, but any extension beyond that requires unanimous consent. So I'm just wondering if the clerk could take a minute and look at those two pieces.
So through the chair, yes, it does appear that within the procedural bylaw under 4.3, sorry, 4.2, 4.3.2. The meeting curfew shall be 3 hours from the published start time of the meeting. Council may by resolution proceed past the curfew for up to 1 hour. In order to proceed past the 1 hour extension, unanimous consent of members is present. And then further on, it does just mention that to extend past curfew is the unanimous requirement. So there does appear to be a conflict of wording there. I can advise that this has been the wording since I believe it was possibly in place 2 procedural bylaws ago. So it just looks like that was an administrative conflict there. So that could be updated to clarify, and then I guess it would be within council if they want to be able to have it that you can go past curfew by an hour and then extend for an additional hour, or how they would like to proceed.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Councillor Vaughn?
Okay, so having just gone through that little process, I'm thinking what Councillor Oak is suggesting in terms of if we have a 3-hour meeting and we want to go past curfew for an hour, we simply need a resolution, as 4.3 says. So our decision today is, do we go with what's in 4.3 or do we go with what's in the appendix, which causes some issues when we only have like 10 minutes left of discussion on certain items. Yeah, so maybe at the end we can have a vote about which way we want to go, because we seem to have both in the one document.
Okay, comments? Deputy, actually reaching for your mic. Councillor Oak?
Yeah, I guess, you know, for all other matters, it's majority rules, right? It's none of our other votes are unanimous, other than this one, the way it works. And so that's why I just wanted it uniform, how we deal with all other matters. I guess if somebody just gets up and leaves at the time, then we might not have quorum. I guess that'd be the only thing if you had a short council with a number of members around the table. But you know, we deal with majority on everything else when it comes to voting. So that would just be, because there's a lot of times where we have maybe 10 minutes or 20 minutes more to go and something, and it just, yeah.
Deputy.
I guess I kind of look at it, it's been working. I don't know how many times we've ever needed to go over. So my thoughts are is to leave it the way it is.
Thank you. Comments? Councillor Neeb and then Councillor Oak.
I guess the one thing I think about is after 3 hours, there's always a question of how productive the conversation is going to actually be in terms of, I don't care what time of day it is, anyone sitting down for 3 hours. I think that's a long time to be sitting through a meeting, right? And I can understand where you're coming from, Councillor Oak, with the majority rules, but I also think if we want to come to the best decision, we want everyone sitting at the table able to contribute to the best of their ability. And so I think that's where that unanimous rule comes from. If someone's feeling like they're not able to think or focus on the question at hand, is that in the best interests of council, right? So that's kind of my take on it. But you know, again, we have had a few meetings that have gone past curfew, and it's intense. It's a little too intense. And sometimes I wonder whether or not we actually came to the right conclusion after sitting in a council chambers for 5 hours.
Councillor Oak and then Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking there's times where there might be an agenda item that we need to make a decision on, because then it's like 2 more weeks before we meet again, or in the summer, it could be a month before we meet again, right? And so just, we have had one where we didn't, so it wasn't unanimous and we shut the meeting off, sort of thing. And so, where there was an item that should have been finished that night, but we didn't. And so, yeah, I hear you. I come from, you know, my first term of council, we had 5-6 hour meetings, right? So this 3 hours is a cakewalk nowadays. So yeah, so to have another 15 minutes after 3 hours, I don't know that it's a big deal. So,
Deputy.
I just think if we're sitting here as a council and we need 10 minutes more, I think you'll see that everybody will vote to have that 10 minutes. But sometimes when you look and you're going to be an hour more to do 2 or 3 more items, it's a long time. And I agree with Councillor Neeb that, you know, council's going to use common sense when it comes to this, but at least this way we have a choice. Thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor Vaughn, I see your hand go up.
Yeah, the only comment I'm going to make is that we just need to pick one. I think we need to pick one because we have an inconsistency. And so which way are we going to go? To unanimous or an hour? And then unanimous? We've got 2 different ways that we express it.
Who would like to make a recommendation to council? Deputy.
My recommendation would be to have unanimous after 3 hours.
Okay, well, let the clerk prepare that and we'll go from there.
Sorry, so just for clarification, we're specifically talking about this item, the other discussion we had regarding moving the agenda items, the closed session, that's at a later time. We're going to possibly
Deputy,
vote on that.
what's your thoughts on the recommendation that you're asking for right now?
Sorry, just through the chair, there was discussion earlier about possibly changing the agenda layout to have the closed session further down in the agenda. So I just want to check to make sure that's not part of this particular motion, is tied to 4.2.EII, the curfew extension, just so I,
You just want to do the curfew extension right now and then go back?
and then
to the-
if there is a recommendation for the changing of the agenda, we could do that at a later time in the meeting.
Let's just do the one at a time, the curfew.
So we'll proceed with deputy mayors and we'll come back to what Councillor Oak was talking about earlier.
So that the committee of the whole recommend to South Huron Council that item 4.3.2 EII in the procedural bylaw be updated to the meeting curfew shall be 3 hours from the published start time of the meeting, and council may by unanimous resolution of all members present proceed past the curfew for up to 1 hour.
So moved by deputy mayor. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Neeb. Discussion, Councillor Vaughn.
Sorry, could you just read that one more time? I want to be sure I know what that motion is.
Yeah. That the committee of the whole recommends to South Huron Council that item 4.3.2 EII, the procedural bylaw, be updated to the meeting curfew shall be 3 hours from the published start time of the meeting. Council may by unanimous resolution of all members present proceed past the curfew for up to 1 hour.
Thank you.
And just for clarification, by all members present, does that include the video as well or not?
Through the chair to confirm, yes, and all members present at the meeting, instead of unanimous of all council as a whole. So if you had one council member missing, because there could be a situation where something arose where you need a unanimous, that's based on a random situation in Robert's rules, but all members actually present at the meeting, which would include virtual or in person.
Very well. So moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call the question. All in favor of that? And that carries with 6. Thank you. Okay, and we'll go back to Councillor Oak. You were talking about a change in the procedural bylaw. Did you want to proceed with that? The closed session at the end? Okay, so I'll have Madam Clerk prepare something then and we'll go from there.
That the closed session and report from closed session items be moved to the end of a meeting of agenda, save and except for the confirming bylaw and adjournment.
So moved, Councillor Oak. Is that your intention?
So moved.
Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor seconds. Is there any discussion on that? Call the question. All in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Any other issues? Oh, Councillor McLeod Haga, please.
Straight through chair. If we can go back up to section 4 of the bylaw, dealing with the start time. I know the draft is showing that a new start time would be at 5 p.m. But I do agree with Councillor Neeb's comment Monday night, where we don't know who's going to be sitting around the table the next term and what their work schedules and stuff would be. So I think for now we should leave it at 6 p.m. So that would be 4.1A and 4.EI. That should stay at 6 o'clock, and then potentially the next term of council could make that decision to change the start time to 5 PM if that works for everybody around the table.
Okay, a motion prepared. Recommendation, I guess is the proper word.
The committee of the whole recommends to council the start time under 4.1A and 4.3EI in the procedural bylaw regarding the regular council meetings remain at 6 PM.
So move, Counselor McLeod Haggett.
So move.
Is there a seconder for that? Counselor Vaughn seconds. Any discussion? Counselor Oak, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just didn't know, I guess, should we comment that we're going to leave, say, the committee of whole meetings at the current times as well, or is that something that it would be included in this, not just our regular council and an inaugural meeting, but and then it's up to the new council to decide if they want committee of the wholes at the times that we've got as well.
Madam Clerk.
So through the chair, the procedural bylaw doesn't speak to, I believe, committee of the wholes being at 4 o'clock. That's just been our standard process. The actual times that are set within the procedural bylaw is the 6 o'clock start time. So we would continue to proceed with our regular 4 o'clock would be the Monday like special meeting or committee of the whole. The only thing that would have changed if council moved a regular meeting up to 5, then the public meeting that sometimes would precede the regular meeting obviously would go up to 4. But if the council remains at 6, regular meeting, public meeting will remain at 5. Will be status quo for what is currently happening.
Okay, and council meetings are a legal entity here. A committee of the whole is just our recommendations back to us as council. So any other comments at all at this time? Counselor Neep?
No, I think that's fair to at least give the new council the opportunity to make that decision. Again, we only have a few months left in our term, and I know that the 6 o'clock time does work for us, but it's also been common knowledge for the public as well that that's when we hold our council meetings. So I think if we're going to make that change, it would make sense for the new council to do that early on in the term. So.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? No. Any comments at all? Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder, I believe. If there's no further discussion on this recommendation, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that carries a 7. Okay, anything else? Counselor Vaughn?
Yes, I had a question about section 9. So this was dealing with if a committee does not meet for 6 months, we will basically deem the minutes as approved, and a further approval when they do meet is not actually required. And I'm okay with that. The only thing that I would ask is that I'm just asking about the process. So like, how do those minutes become the official minutes? So are they added to the agenda on our website, or where can the public go to actually see them once they're deemed approved?
So through the chair, so they would still be on the next, well, they'd be on the regular council meeting agenda, but at the next committee meeting, like they would be on that agenda, but they're already deemed approved, so there's no resolution to approve them. So it'd be similar to the wording in the bylaw currently in regards to closed session. So if council does not meet within, I believe it's 6 months, the minutes from the previous closed session are just deemed approved. Council doesn't actually approve them within the closed session of that next meeting, but there's still minutes of the corporation. They're still signed. They would still be published in that instance for those committee meetings. Like they'd still be available to members of the public.
Yeah, that's really just what I was trying to understand. Like, how do they become available to the public? I know how the closed ones work, but how would these usual public meetings, the minutes be approved so that somebody from the public could actually go look it up?
So through the chair, so similar to how we currently post things. So at this point in time, if a committee, say, doesn't meet for a year, on the website, we do post the draft, like they are posted under that date with a draft watermark on them. And then eventually when the committee meets again, the draft watermark is removed because they've been approved. So they would be posted as likely draft for quite a bit, and then we would remove the watermark.
Okay.
But they are available, like they would be on the website prior to like the next time the committee meets.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments at this time? Councillor Oak?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a question to staff. We were limiting it to 2 delegations and a presentation per council meeting. Is there many times where we have a request for more than 2 delegations for a council meeting and have had to put people off to the next meeting? Just wondering whether there's some flexibility in that, or because right now it says the limits to 2 delegations and a presentation. I didn't know if we could even have it 3, and it doesn't matter if it's a delegation or a presentation, like, that might help. I just didn't know how many times we push somebody off to the next meeting because we've already got 2 delegations.
Through the chair, in the previous amendments, like we used to have just the 2 delegations. So then we added the 2 delegations and a presentation. And yes, we are fluid with that. And I guess the clerk can confirm, but we try to ensure that people can make the meeting. If they can't make a future meeting, we work with them.
Madam Clerk?
Yeah, so through the chair, so yes, depending on what it is in the future meeting, we do have those 3 slots available, so we try to work within that in order to get them on the agenda. I guess I haven't come across this yet, but where you've got all 3 slots filled, or like 2 delegations plus the presentation, and therefore don't have the slot available. But usually if the 2 delegations are in and we were to get a third, depending on what it is and the other things on it, we are trying to work with them in order to get them all on the one agenda.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it would make your job easier if we changed the wording to say a maximum of 3, either delegations or presentations, and not specifically say 2 and 1. Just
Through the chair. One of the other things that we don't use enough necessarily is under the committees and boards. That I've seen in the past that there's delegations from committees and boards, verbal reporting there, rather than, for example, if the BIA came, they could also, or the rodeo committee, they wouldn't have to necessarily do a delegation. They could almost do a report under the committees and boards section. So there is those options too that that we've looked at before. As well, as far as presentations, if it's tied to like the auditors. The auditors can also fit under administration, under financial services. So there is some flexibility built in for those if we need.
Okay, I'll turn to, any other questions at all? Counselor Vaughn, I've looked, you have your hand up.
Yeah, a question on a different matter altogether. Okay, so 9.6 talks to recording of the proceedings or meetings. In the first section A, it says council and committee meetings are to be recorded by video. Um, and and that's not true in the case of all committee meetings, only some committee meetings. Just having gone through all those committee meetings a moment ago, we don't record the wind turbine committee meeting or others. So I'm just wondering in that 9.6, that's not exactly a true statement. Should we say which committee meetings are to be recorded by video and streamed?
Deputy, you have a comment?
Does it not say about other locations? What does that mean? Video cards may not always be available due to equipment malfunctions or alternate locations to hold such meetings. So that means if the rodeo committee's over at the rec center or out in the middle of the yard, you can't, it's impossible to record. So to me, that gets it there. Is that not what I'm reading, or am I reading it wrong?
Madam Clerk or Ms. Sue Carlson, who'd like to take that?
Through the chair, that is correct. Depending on where the meeting is held, and some meetings are workshops, sometimes we have them at the Verity Room. We could have them at a hall. We could have them at the fire station. We could have them. So it's hard to list specifically which meetings. And the committee meetings, some of them that have all of council, like the Committee of Adjustment or those are held at the council chambers, but others, maybe the Verity Room, other locations that aren't set up.
Comments? Oh, like, please, Councilor McLeod-Haggard.
Sorry about that. Through you. Should it say just any committee meetings within chambers? Or do they, like if you're at the fire hall or the rec center or the very, like you don't do the live streaming from there, do you?
Through the chair, we have before, especially during COVID, we did set up to have those done that and live streamed at that point. So it depends on the situation. Just that's why that wording is where practicable is.
Deputy, comment?
But that's not normal.
Through the mayor, or through the chair, it certainly is not, and it was very costly. So, yeah, it's not something that we normally do. And we
Yep.
had to arrange for somebody to come in and do that for us.
Councilor Neebe had something?
No, I was just going to say the amount of time and cost to do that with every committee would be kind of prohibitive, I would imagine. Have we had any complaints about some committees being, like committees of council being filmed and others not?
Through the chair, I haven't received any complaints. Also in regards to that, it's not a requirement under the act. The official record of the meeting are the minutes. There is notice posted, so members of the public can attend in person. Or if it is a virtual meeting, there's a note on it saying it's hybrid or virtual and a contact for the link in order to join. So it's not a requirement under the act. It's just something we've gone above and beyond since COVID.
So, yeah, because prior to COVID, we did not have, it's kind of changed things positively, I think.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, turn to our staff. Where do we go from here then?
So, oops, sorry.
Councilor Vaughn, you had something? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I just have one other comment. The appendix at the back of our new procedural bylaw, which talks all about the strong mayor powers. I just wanted to say that I definitely think that should be a part of our procedural bylaws going forward. So I think that's a great addition.
Great. Any other comments at all? Councilor Oak.
Just a comment that I want to appreciate or recognize the staff for putting all the effort into the red line revisions and I think we have a pretty good procedural bylaws. Just tonight, some tweaking, but overall, it's a pretty solid document from what it was at one time. So, yeah, so thank you.
Great. Any other comments at this time? Okay, not seeing. Do you have something?
I agree with Councillor Oak. I think we look pretty good moving forward, and new council has the opportunity to change anything at any time. So I think it looks good, and I thank staff for bringing this back to us.
Great. Yeah, no, we always thank our staff for sure. We're very fortunate to have the dedication we have here for sure. Madam Clerk. Oops. Wendy, sorry, you have McLeod Haggett.
Sorry, if you, should we be making a motion then to adopt all of the other red line changes?
Yeah, we're just getting to that now. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
So that the committee of the whole recommends to South Huron Council that the proposed revisions set out in the red line version of the procedural bylaw, save and except for the other recommendations at today's meeting, be approved. And that the bylaw be brought back for the required 3 readings.
Good. So we have a mover for that then. Councilor McLeod Haggett moves. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Vaughn. Any discussion? Call the question, all in favor? And that carries with 7. Thank you. Okay. If that's it, under 4.2. Ms. Missoula Paulson.
A South Huron Committee of the Whole, excuse me, does now adjourn at 5:11 PM.
Deputy Mayor moves, seconded by Councilor McNeeb. No discussion. Call the question, all in favor? Carries with 7. Thank you. Thank you very much, staff and council for this afternoon.